Lay me low, lay me low, lay me low, where no one can see me, where no one can find me, where no one can hurt me. Show me the way.
The residents of Corowa erected a memorial in memory of the Corowa-born men and women who died in service or were killed in action in World War I. The Corowa War Memorial lists the names of 137 men and women who died and fought for our country. These people who fought and died all had families, stories and lives that are usually left untold. These brave people sacrificed themselves in order to give the people of Australia a better chance at life. Arthur William Samuel Craggs was just one of the thousands of Australian soldiers which went off to fight in World War I. Arthur had a very caring wife which checked up on him every once in a while to make sure he was alright. She did this by writing letters to Arthur and officers. Arthur was born in Corowa and grew up in it as well, before moving to Geelong. He perhaps moved because of his profession as a moulder or mould maker, which is a type of metalwork, to get more pay. Arthur probably wanted to go to war to get away from his standard metalwork job and boring life around the small Corowa and Geelong regions, or to get more money for himself and his wife, as Corowa and Geelong were both quite poor regions in those days. Going to war was glamorised as a big adventure. Many went to escape poverty or their troubles. Soldiers were promised stable wages if they recruited, but soldiers rarely got their pay. Arthur travelled to Melbourne, Victoria on April 1916, where he was enlisted for the war. Arthur was enlisted as a private who was a repairer of telephone lines. He was put in the 5th Battalion and 23rd Regiment. On November the 23rd, 1916, Arthur embarked or boarded the ship A-20 Corowa, which was a ship also carrying other troops, supplies and horses. Corowa took Arthur to a training camp in Salisbury Plain, England. This is where he trained and got ready to go to war for 9 months. With the advances in weaponry at the end of the 19th century, the British Army needed new locations for training. In the 1890s, they had selected the wide rolling countryside of Salisbury Plain in southern England to accommodate many of Australia's training units. Salisbury Plain was where Arthur would have been trained to dig intricate networks of tunnels, which would have been replicated the conditions. Salisbury Plain was where Arthur would have been trained to dig intricate networks of tunnels, which would have replicated the conditions of the Western Front. The mission of a man training in Salisbury Plain was to overcome the horrific stalemate of trench warfare. After Arthur's 9 months of training, he travelled overseas to France. When travelling to France, Arthur was charged with crime at sea for using obscene language and for disobeying an order, but was given an award of 14 days. When he got to France, it was September 1917, which was when the 5th Battalion participated in the operations that followed up the withdrawal to the Hindenburg Line, and then returned to Belgium to join the Great Offensive March to the east of Ypres. The Battle of Ypres started on the 31st of July and ended on the 6th of November 1917. Arthur probably would have been at the Third Battle of Ypres, Passchendaele, as this was where his unit was at the time. The Third Battle of Ypres was planned to break the strongly fortified German defences enclosing the Ypres salient, a protruding bulge in the British front line. On the 2nd of November 1917, Arthur was poisoned with some sort of gas. He could have been poisoned with either tear gas, mustard gas, chlorine or phosphine, but it is highly likely that it was mustard gas, as it was commonly used by German forces against the British in Ypres. It was also first used in 1917 when Arthur was in that territory. Mustard gas or sulfur mustard is the chemical agent that causes severe burning of the skin, eyes and respiratory tract. It can be absorbed into the body through inhalation, ingestion, or by coming into contact with skin or eyes. These were all symptoms Arthur had at the time and which indeed led to poisoning. Various hospitals said that Arthur suffered from laryngitis and bronchitis, which are both an inflammation of a certain area within the larynx or bronchial tubes. He had severe respiratory systems which prevented him from speaking properly, so he could only manage to whisper. Arthur spent a total of 157 days in various hospitals after being gassed. After his 157 days in hospital had passed, he boarded the D-14, which was a medical ship designed for war. The D-14 dropped Arthur off at another hospital in England, where he stayed for around another 7 months. On the 14th of February 1919, a medical ship known as Corowa picked Arthur up. It returned him to Australia, where he was discharged as medically unfit by the AIF. During Arthur's time at war, he earned 3 medals. He earned a British War Medal, which was awarded to officers and men of Royal Marines, Royal Navy and the Army, and also the Dominion and Colonial Forces. He was awarded a 1914-15 Star, which is a campaign medal of the British Empire, which was awarded to officers and men of British and Imperial forces who served in any theatre of the First World War against the Central Europeans. He was also awarded a Victory Medal, which is a United Kingdom and British Empire First World War campaign medal. In the end, Arthur only actually spent a bit over 2 months fighting or repairing telephone lines at Ypres in France and Belgium before being gassed. After being discharged, Arthur probably went home to his wife and died well later, because of the effect the gas was having on his body. Arthur was truly a brave and courageous man. He went to war knowing what may happen to him, and that is what makes him a hero, lest we forget.
Taunts me when the emptiness eats me. Lay me low, lay me low, lay me low, where no one can see me, where no one can find me, where